No, I'm not doing a review of a train. But last year I did review my very first cargo van, the Mercedes-Benz eSprinter. And I basically said that if you plan to use it for a very long time, then yes, it does make sense paying the extra cost over the diesel version. So, are things more or less the same with the Ford eTransit, and does it do anything better than the Mercedes-Benz eSprinter? Well, let's go for a drive and find out. Driving the Ford eTransit is actually pretty easy. You just have to be mindful of the fact that it is a long vehicle, about the same length as a full-size pickup truck. So when you're taking corners, you do want to take them just a little bit wider. The steering is light, but you do need to give it quite a few turns to make this van go around the corner. The turning circle is not great, but it's not horrible either. So in a cul-de-sac, you can get away with just turning the steering all the way to the lock. But in other situations, you will have to do a 3-point turn. As for what's powering the Ford Transit, it's a single electric motor in the back. It provides 266 horsepower and 317 pound-feet of torque. When the van is unloaded, it has more than enough power to get going off the line and merge onto a highway without any fuss. Unfortunately, I did not get a chance to fully load up this van to see how the powertrain performs when it's a lot heavier, but because of the instant torque of the electric motor, I think it should still be decently peppy. But of course, when it is loaded up, the range is going to take a significant hit, much like every other electric vehicle and also gasoline or diesel powered vehicles. Their fuel economies drop just as the range drops in electric vehicles when they're a lot heavier and loaded up. Officially, the Ford eTransit is rated to drive for up to 256 kilometers. Power is supplied by an 89 kilowatt hour battery pack that is of course mounted in the floor. Although the range of this eTransit is not as much as the eSprinter, Ford says that on average, vans are driven for about 120-ish kilometers per day. So even with a full charge of 256 kilometers, you still have enough left over to do all of your deliveries for that day. Plus, at the end of the day, you just plug it in and have a fully charged battery by the next morning. Recharging the 2025 Ford eTransit takes between 6 to 8 hours from a level 2 charger, depending on the output of that charger. From a level 3 DC fast charger, 10% to 80% takes just over 30 minutes with a maximum speed of 176 kilowatts. Like all other EVs, the Ford eTransit recuperates some energy through regenerative braking. The braking level cannot be adjusted, but there is a strong regen mode when pushing the L button on the center of the round gear selector. As for the physical brakes, they never felt overwhelmed by the weight of the eTransit. Additionally, the brake pedal feels normal without being too light or too firm. The 2025 eTransit is available in this cargo configuration, a chassis cab, or a cutaway configuration. The cargo configuration is available with a low, medium, or high roof, along with either a long or extended length. The payload ranges from 3,249 pounds for this low roof, long body configuration to 2,799 pounds for the high roof, extended body configuration. The maximum towing is 7,500 pounds. When it is unloaded, the ride of the Ford eTransit can be quite bumpy. It has independent front and rear suspension with coil springs in the back, but over rougher roads, bumps can easily be felt in the seat. Granted, usually cargo vans and even trucks tend to have suspension that is tailored towards a loaded vehicle, so perhaps the ride does marginally improve when the eTransit is carrying more than just a 6'4" person in the driver's seat. As for noises, the eTransit doesn't have a well-insulated cabin like a normal SUV. You hear everything that is going on outside and even underneath the van. The electric motor produces different sounds depending on whether the van is accelerating or slowing down. Raindrops are almost like ping pong balls hitting the windshield, and noises from every other vehicle around the eTransit are very noticeable. so this is a very noisy vehicle to be in. The cabin of the Ford eTransit will give a Rolls-Royce a run for its money. No, I'm kidding, it won't. It's actually very, very simple in here. The most predominant feature of this cabin is the 12-inch infotainment touchscreen, which does run Sync 4 infotainment system. Like many other Ford vehicles these days, this touchscreen does integrate climate controls into it. So if you want to change the temperature, for example, you have to take your eyes off the road to make sure that your finger actually selected the plus or the minus sign to change the climate temperature. And because of the slightly rougher ride of this Ford eTransit, it can be a little bit more challenging to actually hit that little plus or the minus sign. So it would have been better if Ford had actually kept physical climate control buttons just to make it easier and less distracting while driving. But the rest of the infotainment system is pretty easy to navigate around. This one isn't quite as up-to-date as the one in the Ford Expedition, for example, because it doesn't integrate Google Maps or any sort of other Google apps into it. It still uses Ford's native navigation system, which works perfectly fine, and it does show traffic. Plus, it does have wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto connectivity, so you can still use Google Maps so long as you have your phone connected to it. Underneath the touchscreen, there are 4 capacitive touch controls for the drive modes, the front defroster, the surround view cameras, and parking. In front of the driver, there are analog gauges, one for power on the left and your speedometer on the right, along with a max power and a battery charge right in between them. And as for the steering wheel, it's pretty basic. There are physical buttons on it, which are easy to understand, and the push button start is on the steering wheel column, not on the dashboard. Of course, being a van, there are a lot of cubbies and cup holders up here in the front. So there's one cup holder in between the front seats, there's another cup holder to either side of the dashboard, and you get water bottle holders at the very bottom of the dashboard. On top of the dashboard, there are quite a few cubbies to store smaller items, and on the driver's side, there's a USB-C charger and a 12-volt charging port. As for these seats, they are pretty basic. They don't really have that many controls, and you do have armrests in between them, but they're not actually adjustable. They just stop right here. As for visibility, of course, out the front, you have this giant window so you can easily see over the hood, which is really, really small and very short. To the side, the blind zones are big because there are no back windows, but the mirrors are pretty large, and on the bottom part you do get a convex type mirror so you can easily see in the blind zone. Plus the Ford eTransit does have blind spot sensors. And that's about it for the front. Now let's go check out the back. In the cargo area, this low roof long body configuration has 8,832 liters of space. Opt for the high roof extended body configuration and the maximum cargo area jumps to 15,189 liters. In this latter configuration, it is more than the Mercedes-Benz eSprinter. The rear doors can be opened up to 253 degrees and they have magnets that hold them in place on windy days when they are fully opened. Unlike the eSprinter, this eTransit is only available with a single passenger side sliding door and a driver's side is not available. The 2025 eTransit starts at $72,600 Canadian. By comparison, the gasoline version starts at $58,500 Canadian. That's a $14,100 difference, so you'd have to drive the eTransit for a long time before the fuel and maintenance savings match the lower cost of the gasoline version. For that money, you're not really paying for the latest convenience features. This van doesn't have very many. It has a single-zone automatic climate control, a 12-inch infotainment touchscreen with built-in navigation and wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. There are optional surround view cameras with parking sensors, keyless entry with push-button start, and there are standard HID headlights. The eTransit can also be optioned with various different shelves for tradespeople, and it has Ford's Pro Power on board. This provides 120-volt outlets for tools and other equipment while on a remote job site without the need of a separate generator. In the end, compared to the Mercedes-Benz eSprinter, the 2025 Ford eTransit can't match it for driving range nor front occupant comfort. But it has more power, it can carry and tow more, it has more cargo capacity, and it's less expensive. Is it the right van for your business? That is a harder question to answer because it depends on how often it will be driven and for how long. The more an electric van is driven, the more it'll save costs due to less maintenance and lower fuel costs, or in this case, electricity. So it depends on your business needs whether this is a better option than the gasoline version. If you'd like to know more about this 2025 Ford ETransit, I have a more detailed review of it over on my website. You can find that link in the video description or click on the pop-up banner in the top right corner. In the meantime, I'll see you in the next car, truck, van, or most likely it'll be an SUV next time. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and see you in the next one.